Untouched horses and ways to approach them. This is where we started. We had our moment and we ended here. This video is about how to approach a horse who's never been touched before, or in this case also a young foal who's never been handled before, and his mother is pretty wild as well. We don't know how old the foal is exactly. My suspicion is it's about 9 months old, and it's a colt, which means a non-castrated male. And what just happened there is his hormonal makeup is already making him be kind of the investigative protector of his herd, which is his mother and himself. And so he was kind of trying to check me out there, check out what I was doing. There are several principles or approaches that you would see applied in this video. One of them is establishing myself as a dominant herd member by controlling a territory. As you can see, when I walked back in, they were a little frightened, like they don't want to hang out with me. They moved away. But that gives me a chance, and I apologize for the camera work. I'm trying to establish that I can claim a territory, and this spot is mine and you need to move off. But at the same time, I'm trying, you see my body language right there when I cross the horse's drive line, which is that girth, where the girth would be, and I put my body towards their nose. It causes them to stop. Now when they stop, I'm careful to release the pressure and walk away, and I put the mother there, but the colt is having a bigger flight response. The mom is just generally more chilled. The colt is, rambunctious and curious and fearful, but wants to engage, that kind of stuff. So right there, this is an important and beautiful moment where I am connecting with the mother and he is watching me do it. I have turned my back away from him, which releases the pressure of my strong presence, and he can feel that. The fact that he's lowering his head and neck is great, and I'm still being very obvious with my language, going confidently forward towards him, and I'm aware that this is too much pressure for him, but I also want to exaggerate that release when I look away, and you would see that clearly. A few more examples of that are coming up. So far I was able to communicate that I can control a territory, and I've gotten their attention, and I've started a communication with them. The second approach I would apply right now is just being there. You have to have your wits about it, because look at what's happening right there. That's not just curious but dominant behavior. And yes, you have to protect yourself, but you also can allow for that moment of just being there, non-threatening, and allowing the curiosity to just take over the foal. You'd be surprised if you just squat down or you just sit at their stall and just watch them eat. And if you have a lot of time, I truly highly recommend this approach. Just watch them, just be there, part of their herd, and they would come to you. Now, right there, what happened just a second ago was that he was trying to put his teeth on me, and I raised my hand, and of course that created a big reaction. And so you always have to have your wits about you, but it's kind of hard to explain the energy that I'm giving out and then I'm receiving. I can kind of raid if they are really going to be overly aggressive, or it's just a defense mechanism. And again, this is not a full-size colt, so I have a little leeway there. With a full-size colt, I would probably load him and his mom somehow, with corral panels or however I can get them there, into a round pen, and I would start to gain their respect in an open area, and first establish that, and then do all that with the squatting down and letting them come to me. The third approach I am demonstrating now is that I kind of got them lost for a minute there. And they're just pressing and thinking about this. But I got up so I can get their attention back on me a little more intentionally, right? So I am just kind of moving my foot. I'm cocking my leg. My head is down. My back is turned towards him. So that is communicating no pressure to him. And now I've lost him again because he is actually messing with the tripod where my phone is mounted, and now I have to shoo him away so we can keep recording. And of course, this is still all opportunities for communication. I'm saying, hey, I'm inviting you over and I can be your friend, but don't mess with my stuff. I can move your feet, because with this dominant kind of male, you have to establish that you are in control of his feet and you can move him anytime, but you do want to be friends and connect. So again, I'm giving them the time to think it over at that corner over there. They're very aware of me. I am aware of them, and by turning my head towards them and looking at them, I'm putting more pressure, and he decides to charge at me, which is again that he wants to see if he can dominate me. And the rule is whoever moves their feet first loses. So the fact that I stood still, or I didn't move my feet, I raised my body upwards to stand up part way, but I didn't move my feet, and he took the flight, is again building up on the idea in his head that I am lead mare. But I'm not there to get him, which is also important for him to understand and process. So I normally would allow more time, but for the sake of filming this video, I chose to get up and more actively get their attention, and then go back to maybe asking them to move, and then try to establish a dialogue by my body language, by creating movement and then inhibiting movement or redirecting. But if you saw me just turn right then, is because he gave me his attention in his two eyes, his head, and I turned away to release that pressure to let him know, hey, that's what I want you to engage with me. Now the fact that he's chewing on the bark and all that, all this is a little fit because he is just what my son would call nervous-sided, like nervous and excited at the same time. He's releasing just that anxiety. He's not sure about all that. And I'm standing still as much as possible. When he kicks at me and whatnot, I don't really make a big deal about it at this point, because I know he's not going to really get me. He's just expressing his emotions and releasing his anxiety. Not moving my feet, again, is establishing me as a horse in the lead position in this herd of 3. And the moment, again, he looks at me, I look away, and then I try to allow him to approach me by, you see how I'm putting my hand out? and then as soon as he gets close to me or gives me attention, I would release. But at this moment, he actually chose to leave me, so I kind of got after him just a little bit. And what I'm looking for is to create enough movement and redirect it and stop it in order to inspire them to join in with me. Again, this is usually done in a round pen, and in some ways it's just a lot easier. But in other ways, this is a smaller area and more intimate, and it can work. I'm still, there's just a lot of waiting for them to process. So I'm still trying to be engaged in reading their energy and seeing how much of my energy to put out there. The walking backwards is totally on purpose because it's less threatening. And in a little bit, I might even zigzag. You see, when the mare turned her head towards me even just a little bit, I just stopped right there and I didn't do anything. But you are going to see me kind of lollygag and zigzag, trying to approach her, moving my body sideways or backwards in order to not cross that breaking point in the energetic output for her. There is a threshold that she can handle with energy or questions being put out there for her by me, and I don't want to cross that threshold. So approach and retreat is important for horses because it builds their confidence. Him wanting to nurse is right now is just for comfort, because he's had too much stuff going on and he needs reassurance. So I allow for that, but I'm still making my presence known. So it is important that the colt, sees that I understand what he's doing. He's nursing for comfort. It's too much for him. I'm saying, I get it. That's why I have my back turned on you, but I'm still here because I'm asking a question. Would you come with me? And leadership position is just hard to give up in a herd because their lives depend on who's the leader. It's like the make it or break it for them. And so instinctively, they're not very keen to leaving that position in somebody's hands or hooves. Unless they're absolutely sure that that person or horse is qualified for the job to keep them safe. But a minute ago, something happened, and now it's about to happen again, where this is the first time that he chose to non-aggressively come and engage with me. He's not trying to dominate me whatsoever. Now he's like, oh, maybe she's right. Maybe I need to accept her. And because of that, I released right there. And because of that, he is coming after me because I'm moving away. See, most humans, because we're predators, we just want to get to the point. I want to catch you, and I'm going to be straightforward about it. And horses are the exact opposite. So when a horse gives to you, you release them. You go away. It's kind of like, the old high school game of... If I play hard to get, they'll come to me kind of thing. But with horses, actually does something else. It releases the pressure and encourages them. It builds their confidence. It encourages them to come along. So this is not a one-time deal. It has to be repetitive until it's established. So what I'm trying to do here is now connect with the mother. Because the foal was super brave, he thought about, maybe, I need to be with this new human mare here as the leader. and his mom kind of stayed behind, and so he went back to her, and now he's processing whether his choices were correct or not. And this is why now I'm engaging the mother to let him know that, well, if your mother thinks I'm okay, maybe I am okay for you too. And this is very important moment there. This is the first time she's letting me actually pet her, and because she did, I walked away, and because I did, her head turned towards me, which is great, and that's why I'm stopping here to let her process that. And then as soon as that processing is done, I go back again with my back towards her as to not apply too much energetic pressure on her. And see, the fall is coming around, she's turning towards me, and now they're both thinking of accepting me. And at least they're sniffing my hand, which is my way of, my invisible lead rope type of deal, where I want them to choose me. See, we think that we can control a horse by having a lead rope and leading them around, but you have a lot more control if the horse actually gets to choose you, which is a really, really important thing to establish and get done. They need to want to be with you. This is the very, very first time I'm working with these horses. They were adapted from an auction. They, I believe, were part of the Navajo tribe horses who faced severe droughts. And there were a lot of mothers and foals there. This mare, we fattened her up pretty good. My daughter is actually the one who brings their hay bags and stuff. They usually have slow feeders 24/7, and but she was still in very good shape in comparison to the others. So all that to say is that we don't know how much handling she has had, and she is definitely more chilled than her son, but there's just not a lot there, and for the most part I believe that she was just running wild with the rest of them in hundreds of acres of land, kind of like the Mustangs do. So I continue here with the approach and retreat. I go back, I let her sniff me, think about it, make a choice. The moment she gives me her attention, I move away. She's letting me pet her now, and my body's turning to the side more obviously, and those are big steps. So I am moving away, and it's causing her to draw near me. I hope you guys see the pattern here. If I want to make her come with me, I have to actually move away and release the pressure that I'm putting on her, so that she could feel that she could have a choice to follow me. She's not forced to follow me, she's choosing it. And this is normally a great spot to quit, because you've established that first connection, and then you quit, and then you come back, later the same day or the next day, and you continue building on. Because I want these horses fully trained by the time I'm done with them. Hopefully she could be a nice kid's pony, and this little stallion is pretty great looking, so I'm not so sure if he might become a breeder, or what his future holds. But in any way, it's setting him up for success. Whatever his future would be, it's setting him up. Now over there he was a little bit too pushy, so I set a boundary. So it's kind of important to balance draw and respect. So I want him to come with me. I want him to be totally okay and friendly and absolutely not afraid of me, but I also want to establish that you can't put your teeth on me. And as Stallions do, I mean, that's just part of their behavior. They start nipping at the mare's legs. They dominate other geldings or other stallions by trying to put their teeth on them, bite them, strike at them, or kick them. And I just want it known as of right now, first session, that no, that's not acceptable here. You cannot do that. But overall, this was a really fun and rewarding session. And I hope that that helped you guys get some ideas and get inspired to help some of these horses that are out there that are in need of a human. Another thing that I'm doing here is I'm going to the water supply, and I'm just messing with the water just as a behavior that a horse would do, because that's an important, the water hole is really important for everybody's survival, and then is the food. So safety first, water next, and then food is the way the important goes. So I'm just trying to say, hey, I can go to your water hole whenever I wish. And then I go back. He had a draw to me. I established a boundary, but he didn't overreact this time. And now he's letting me pet his head, which is quite amazing for a very first time being ever touched. I couldn't be more pleased. He's still trying a little bit, but so that's like halfway playful, halfway dominant, and then he got overwhelmed and went. So right there, I'm letting them have a little thinking time again. But I couldn't leave it at that and end the session because they were away from me. So I wanted to go back and kind of reestablish all that we've done today. So I moved them away, which caused them to pay attention because the herd leader said something. And now I have their attention and I'm looking for the draw. And there, the mare is definitely wanting to come. The colt is a little apprehensive. And I lost them. So sometimes you have to go back and repeat the process. Alicia Burton says, we get good at what we practice. So same with the horses. That habitual behavior has to be established. They are a creature of habit, but habits are created by repetition. So this time I'm bolder about approaching, even though I'm going backwards. But I'm asking, you see how her head is turned towards me? I am asking her and assessing, hey, is it okay to approach more? Or am I going to lose you? So I'm waiting for her to give me the green light. And then I move backwards more. Because this is crucial. I want to end on a good note. It is very important that you end on a good note. Because however you end, that's what you're going to build on the next time you come around. So she's distracted by flies and whatnot, but she definitely is saying, yes, I'm okay with you being here. I didn't feel that she would bite me right there, and so I allowed it. That knowledge and feel kind of comes with experience. When you've done a few of those, you can read the horse. I know that the mare is really wanting peace, and I'm hoping that she would give more confidence to her baby. And you can't rush some of these things. I know it's a video, and you know, I was maybe subconsciously trying to rush, but you have to allow for those moments. You accomplish more when you rush less with horses. That's what I figured. I'm naturally a very go-oriented and go person, but with horses you get there much faster if you're slow. So this is very important right here. This is like a body hug. And where my hand is establishing maybe where a halter would be. I'm trying to pet her nose and desensitize her head, but also allow for that moment of she just wants to sniff my hand, which is okay. And my hand coming over her pole is a huge trust for horses because they can't really see right above themselves. But that's where we go when we have to put the halter or the bridle on them. And now the fact that I am letting her know, hey, I know those pesky flies are bothering you, and I can scratch that itchy spot for you. That to the mare is so important because she's like, oh my goodness, that leader is so aware of my needs. She actually knows where to scratch me. And that's intense for horses. It's mind-boggling to them. And now the fact that she's letting me go over her eyes and her cheeks and close to her nose, I'm practically hugging her nose. That's all big trust stuff. I actually didn't think that I would get there with this mare today. So again, super pleased with the session. And I can end it right there. And of course they both come, which is absolutely rewarding and beautiful. And this was the perfect spot to quit.